Live
from New York
live.
and Texas. You've got Talking Crit. Yeah, folks. Welcome
We
to
need to do
Talking
something.
Crit.
Yeah, can we get
Why would you?
music? We need to have intro music, or like an announcer, or I don't know, chick in a bikini.
Are
Something.
you ready to rumble?
That may have been taken. That may be in use. I don't know.
Welcome to Talking Crit with Bad Mike and Tenkar. And yes, if you're looking at the screen or you're listening at home and you go, I only hear two voices. Well, you might hear more than two voices because I'll make fun of other voices. But the reality is, it's just Mike and I tonight. So
Yeah,
all us.
we
No
got tired. We
distractions.
got tired of having to share our audience with other people. So now,
I get too
we're doing
small
we're a
when we
little
put a
one
third
time,
head on the screen.
little one-on-one. Yeah.
The
We need a
menage a
little
trois
one-on-one,
is
a
a
little, we need to get,
little overdone.
yeah, we're getting back to know you guys again, By the way, I hardly ever listen to Talking Crit after they're over, but I listened to one. I'm really loud. I need to figure out where my microphone might go to not be as loud. I'm going to try to put it like out here tonight and see how that does. Because I am really loud. I'm really loud anyway, but I'm really, really loud on the replays. I'm extremely loud.
And I don't, folks, and I guess you will know this over the last couple of years. I don't do any kind of editing to this shit.
What?
Editing on a podcast usually means fuck it. I gotta start from the beginning again because I don't. I'm not a sound engineer. I'm not the expert at this stuff. I am just
this is DIY. It's
DIY,
folks.
Yes, this is like the old school fanzine of podcasting and vidcasting.
Yeah, we love we love that kind of stuff. So this is perfect for us.
And hopefully that's why you're here. If it isn't, well, listen, we've been fooling you now for a long time. So before we start delving into the dirty good stuff or the good dirty stuff or something like that, Mike, what's going on? I see confusion in North Texas forums. So people like, I can't sign up for. I'm trying to spend more money. I can't sign up for my games.
Well,
there's a limit to the early registration, right?
Yes. Well, and also, I think I'm supposed to be on Mike and Liz's show in the next couple of weeks. I forgot all about that, and we're going to talk about North Texas. But basically, this is going to be a moot point in about a week because we'll have open signups starting April 15th. So a week from tomorrow. What we do is for all the games, so it's not just a mad rush to get games like most conventions do. We pre-sell half the tickets at $5 a piece. So if you really, really want to get in the game, you can spend the $5 and get in the game. However, on April 15th, we open it up to anybody, and it's free. So we have a lot of people saying, hey, there's 3 seats. It says there's 3 seats available, but I'm trying to sign up, and I can't sign up. That's because 3 seats have already been taken, and the other seats are wide open to anybody who wants to get there on midnight, 12:01 a.m., April 15th.
Central Time. If you're New York, it's 1 a.m.
Oh, dear.
Before I started slaving for the frogs, I was off and on, and I would be, even if I had work the next day, and I'd be on, and I'd have myself logged in on Chrome and Rach logged in on Safari, and I was trying to get us logged in, signed up for games. When working for the frogs, I was like, well, I'm working the table, I'm running games, I'm not too worried about what I'm going to be playing in. This year, because Rach is going to be at the con with me. However, Saturday and Sunday, from 10 to 5, she's going to be yogaing in the room with her last weekend of the advanced yoga instructor class she's taking. So she'll be Zooming. I'm going to Zoom.
Nice.
And which means that I'm going to have to occupy myself throughout the day because I believe that Frog God will not have a presence at this con officially at the table.
Well, actually... actually, you're right. I think you're right. Officially not, but there will be plenty of frogs there.
Yeah,
plenty of frogs. By the way, I just talked to hot news off the stove. I just talked to Bill Webb. He is not going to be attending. He's worried about traveling, catching disease, bringing it back to his in-laws who are 80 years old and bad health. even though he's had the shots, he's still antsy. And I think after discussion with his family, he decided that he's just going to stay home. So he's going to run an online game or two, but he will not be in person. But we will have plenty of other frogs there. We'll have Zach Glazer and Matt Finch and Casey Christopherson and other people's. I'm trying to think.
Is Pex going to be there? He's got to be there.
Pex will be there. Yes. Pex will be there.
I'll be there. I don't plan to run anything on the grid, but I might run off the grid. I might do pickups. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of space to run a pickup game. So I figure that is something that I can always do. Oh, big event, Temple of Dagon, IGG release.
Yes, that's for Frog God. Temple of Dagon, not Dagon. It's Dagon.
Listen, I'm a New Yorker. I'll fucking pronounce it as I want. You say zine, I say zine.
Because it's
magazine. So it's Dagon or Dagoon. Actually,
I don't know. Maybe I don't think Lovecraft even know how to pronounce that. So who knows?
All right. So yeah, who knows? Listen, I couldn't pronounce Cthulhu, and I probably still am pronouncing it wrong, but, you know, whatever.
I thought I knew how to pronounce it. I saw a movie where somebody pronounced it. I'm like, well, either I'm really wrong or they're really wrong. Because that's not how I've been saying it my whole life. Dang it.
Well, it's a lot of words. If you're a gamer, there's a lot of words that you picked up from the DMG or some other place, and you look at it and you go, I know how this word is going to be pronounced. But listen, this is before the internet. Right? This is back in the early 80s. You were a teenager, now you're saying the word 40 years later, and you're like, I don't know if the way I taught myself to say this word is the way the word actually is supposed to sound. I don't know, but I'm kind of stuck to it. So
I'll tell you an embarrassing story when I was a kid, because I used to sound everything out, right? Because that's what we did when we were back as kids. We did, you looked at how it sounds. I had a classmate whose name was Chet, Chet. I'd never seen that name before, heard it. I had no clue. I grew up in Texas. People were named Tex and Bob and I don't know, whatever, And so I saw his name on a sheet, and I wanted to say, like, hello, his name, and I had to think real quick, and I couldn't figure out how it was pronounced, so I called him Cheat. I said, hey, Cheat.
Nice.
Because I'm thinking, what is Chet? That's not a word. Maybe his name is Cheat. Like, that's a weird name. So I called him Cheat. And I called him that for like a day before he finally said, my name's Chet. I was like, this is like a second or third grade. Right. Pretty funny. And I said, Chet, what's Chet? He goes, that's my name. You've been calling me Cheat. And I thought it was just, you were not pronouncing it right. Or something. Like, oh, I didn't know how. I'm sorry. I'd never seen the word or the name Chet in my life. So yes, we all have issues with pronouncing things, trying to sound it out. And
yeah, you say tomato, I say tomato, tomato, potato. Let's call the whole con off. No, actually,
let's call the whole
con. Listen, I'm looking forward to North Texas.
Hey, it's going good. Registration's way up as people are getting their second shot. We've got people trickling in. Usually, because you know how it usually goes. Usually, we're getting kind of full right about now. We're like, oh, we may have to cut off a registration. Well, of course, this year we're like, oh, we're only probably going to have about half as many people as last. Last year we had about 60 to 80, right in that range, and they were all locals. Very few people traveled. And this year we thought, if we get about 200, we'll be okay. But I don't know. It's looking pretty amazing so far. As everybody is getting their second shot and thinking, hey, in a month, I think I'll be okay. And they're all making plans. So we're having, rather than have everybody load up and then a few people trickle in, we just have this steady stream, just trickle all the last 2 or 3 months.
You'll probably have that steady stream right up until near the end of May.
I think so too. Suggestion. Yeah, I think so.
As people get their shots. I mean, again, this household, we had a normal Easter. I mean, literally a normal Easter. I had a total of how many people? 9 people at the house. My parents, Rach and I, vaccinated. My mother's cousin, vaccinated. A friend of the family, vaccinated. And then my sister's family, which were not vaccinated. But you're allowed one family unit that isn't vaccinated, according to CDC guidelines. So it was nice. It felt normal. Oh, somehow I lost audio. I thought Mike was sounding.
Hold on, I'm back. That was me muting because I had to burp.
No, I was like, this is really fucking quiet. My headset must have died.
That's one way to keep me quiet is to just mute me. No, I'm the only person in my household that has a shot because everybody in my family is healthy and young. So none of them are even on the list yet. My wife has issues. I think I've already talked about it before. We won't go into it again, but she has issues with health issues about getting the shot and Guillain-Barré syndrome. So she's still waiting to hear official word on whether or not it's a possible cause of Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's looking like it's not. So she's not going to get her shot anytime soon. So I'm really the only person in my whole family. We had a big birthday party for my grandson who just turned 17, and I was the only person there that had my first shot. I felt it was weird. I mean, for once, I was the healthy one. Mr. Obese Diabetic here was the healthy guy. And,
isn't that a great feeling? It's like Rachel and I went down to our local pub, and we're trying to do that now every Wednesday for lunch. We go down, and the joke is everybody at the pub. Well, first off, it's the afternoon crowd. You expect them to be older anyway. But the joke is everybody there is immunized except for our bartender / hostess, because she, and I understand it, she has a fear of needles, so she's waiting for the one shot. She wants the Johnson and Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson. By the way, my wife also hates needles too, so yeah, that's part of it too.
So so she's still not immunized, but she's like, "Once you get the Johnson and Johnson," she goes, I'll go. I'll probably pass out, but then I'll be fine. So I'm like,
oh, by the way, the James Thomas. I just realized I was like, James Thomas' name sounds familiar. That is the author of Temple of Dagon, and he also did Raven Reach and with the Raven Reach and Raven can't remember the name.
I know the cover.
I did editing on both of them. I edited both of them. I can't remember.
I can picture one of the covers in my head, but I just can't.
So very, very successful Indiegogos we had last year, and he's also doing Dagon. So hello to James, and good to see you on the chat there. But yes, he is Temple of Dagon. Go check that out. It's on Indiegogo. As always, our Indiegogos are single modules. We actually now have in place a system where you can order several Indiegogos and get them all shipped together. If you don't want to pay shipping on each of them, we finally have that all worked out. Now that we've moved shipping from Indiegogos, we moved it from Seattle to Arizona, and so those boys there, Matt and Zach and Jen, and those girls too, they will package orders together. I think they can do up to three or five at a time. That was one of the complaints we had about the Indiegogos. Is like, hey, it's great to have these individual modules, but I hate to pay $8 shipping every time we get one. Well, guess what? Now we're going to finally bundle them together. So, yes, check out Temple of Dagon, Raven Rock. That was the other Raven Rock and Raven's Reach. So, both really, those are pretty good, solid adventures. If you have a mid-sized party, you can just drop them into any campaign. And I did not get an early read of Dagon, so I don't know what it's about except that it's underwater. So I'm gonna have to see if I can cage a manuscript from Zach or somebody so I can look at that.
I need a potion of water breathing.
Yes.
So, all right. So we've covered the obligatory con, and we've covered the latest Necro / Frog God release.
Oh, let's cover one more thing real quick.
Yeah.
Second shot.
Oh,
mine is next. Is exactly 7 days from now. So we're going to have fun at next week because I will either be feeling great or I will be, I don't know, feeling bad. I don't know. We'll see what the second shot does. And so second shot with you.
We got Zach Glazer in the room. God help us all.
No. This is the one place. This is my one safe place I could go without Zach and Skeeter bothering me. And
listen,
here they are.
We don't believe in safe spaces. So here, Temple of Dagon reveals forbidden secrets of the ancient Dagonic cult that will literally twist your mind and flesh.
Oh, I like it.
Foolish characters are in for deep hurting. Wise ones will find the untold riches of a lost civilization.
I love lost civilizations. I love underwater adventures. I love Dagon, not Dagon, and I'm in on this one.
Are you interested? If so, you must call us. We can't call you. So You'll have to go to the Indiegogo and look up Temple of
Yes, look up
Dagon.
Temple of Dagon, not Dagon. So
It's
tell me about your second shot.
Dagon. It could be Dagon, but fuck it.
So tell me about your second shot.
All right, so my second shot was the Pfizer second shot.
Me too.
And my arm was sore for the better part of a week, and I had nausea going for about 2.5, 3 days.
Okay, that's not bad. I can deal with that. So so far, you're making me feel. I'm feeling good. I'm
so
feeling good.
This is not a product placement, but it was a lot of mints. I lived on mints.
Yeah, I'm doing product placement. If Balcones wants to send me a free bottle, I'll drink it every night here. So I'm drinking.
Oh, okay. Here, I'm doing hop tea, but I'm doing hop tea because I had 3 pints of.
If Aquafina wants to send me free water, I'm fine. I'm up with
No,
that.
but I had my alcohol with my lunch today, so I was like, you know what, I gotta be good.
Oh yeah,
I gotta, here I'll do before we get even deeper. Here's the update. So, talking about COVID. Jeff Jones, my layout guy on Torchlight, who did did a huge project of his own for Zine Quest. Yeah, magazine, right?
Yes.
Zine Quest. I got that right. All right. So in any case, and we talk about other stuff, but he's like, let's set a date of May 1st. So now I'm making a public statement. May 1st for the official issue 1, since the premiere issue was like issue 0.
Hello! Finally,
yes.
We're all right.
So,
okay, I'm interested.
So we're gonna be. So it's good. He's focusing me, but he actually came down. He got his first shot of the COVID vaccine, I think Moderna, and then 6 days after getting his shot, he came down with COVID because it takes.
It can happen.
It takes about 10 days.
Terrible luck.
So he's about 2 weeks after diagnosis, and he's still ass dragging. And listen, if you get COVID, most of the people I know of that have gotten COVID have said that it kicks your ass. It could be worse, but there are lingering effects. And thank God, nobody in my household has come down with it. Especially people like me with at least 4 comorbidities that I know of.
Me too. We've been very lucky in our households and our families too. Extremely lucky. I know people that have been really, really hit hard in terms of relatives dying, parents dying, grandparents dying. I have a friend I haven't talked to in a while, and I actually hadn't talked to him this year. And so we started talking. He said, "Yeah, I had COVID back before March." I said, "I didn't even know that." And he said, "Oh, I was fine." He still has no sense of smell or taste. It's been 6 weeks. He said, They said, "Yeah, that's a symptom, and they may be a long-term effect." He said, "But on the plus side, I lost 18 pounds because I can't smell food anymore or taste." I'm like, oh, that's not a bad idea.
You kind of lose interest in it. I mean,
yep.
I mean, if those watching at home just saw me mute so I could blow my nose, my allergies suck. Oh my God, allergies!
Well, Texas is king of the horrible allergy states. We have, and everything's blooming. We had a very rainy spring. It's ridiculous there right now. I've got a little bit of congestion. I'm taking some allergy medicine right now myself because it's been terrible here. But don't worry. By the time June comes and the convention comes around, there will be no allergies. It's just going to be 100 degrees. So it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot. So you're going to be inside.
And I'm looking forward to seeing the new Tenkar deal with Texas heat, because I used to deal with Texas heat with sweat pouring off me, but with the weight loss and the meds I'm on, I don't seem to sweat as much as I used to. So I'm wondering how I'm going to deal with the heat, because I used to have my built-in air conditioning. I mean, I might come in from the food truck and literally be like, I could bring my shirt out. But now I might need to actually buy a bottle of water just to pour on myself to cool off. So we'll see how that works.
I'm a few years older than you, Eric, and let me tell you something. I never thought this would happen to me. That's how most of the Playboy letters begin. But I never thought this would happen to me. But it actually, at this point in my life, it can't get warm enough for me. I'm going to be one of those old person lizards guys just sitting out in the sun because I get cold. I don't know if it's because of the diabetes, just because getting old and the blood circulation, but I will sit right in the sun now, and it cannot get hot enough for me. So I think I'm going to I'll finally enjoy Texas weather when I'm in my 60s, I think, because I want it hot as hot as you can get it.
Well, here's the thing with me. Rach sleeps underneath a bedspread / comforter, and generally and all bundled up, and I'll be there in like shorts and a
Same here.
t-shirt.
Yep. Same here.
And maybe in the middle of the night I'll pull the sheet over me. Well, this winter I was actually wearing socks on occasion into bed because my feet were cold. But now that the weather outside has gotten to like the 40s and 50s at night, now I'm back down to, oh my God, I think I got to remove the shirt because I'm still too fucking hot. So again, Texas is going to be an interesting site or an interesting experience. And I'm not sure how the new me is going to react to the Texas heat. It could be interesting. Maybe it'll surprise me. Maybe Texas won't get out of like the lower 90s, and it won't be a baking situation.
We'll see. All right, enough about us. We spent that was we did. We got all the business taken care of. We got convention, COVID, all the goodies out of the way. By the way, Laramie wanted to thank us last week for speaking positively about the vaccinations and about. And look, Eric and I believe in science. We want to be healthy, so
yeah,
we're not going to anti-vax you guys. Sorry,
and I'm not going to push the vax on you either. Here's the way I look at it.
It's your personal choice. It's your choice,
right? I have 4 comorbidities, and I'm honest about them. I'm overweight. Okay, I'm a type 2 diabetic.
Type 1.
All right. I am a Hodgkin survivor, which is cancer.
Not bad. Well, you got
that one. I got that one. And I have congestive heart failure / hypertension.
I have hypertension. Yeah, so there's 2 for me.
So I am like, I guess I could technically, I count the congestive heart failure and hypertension as 1, but I guess you could count it as
count them as 2. Go ahead and give yourself some extra points there.
So then I get 5, and you only need 3 for a hat trick.
Jeez.
So to me, it was like, you know what? I don't want to leave my abode, and at the same time, I wear glasses usually. When I wear the fucking mask, I can't see shit because it fogs right up, especially in the wintertime.
Oh, yeah.
So I preferred wearing a neck gaiter and pulling that up, but apparently it does less effect. It's more like a signal that I care about you, but I really don't give a shit about you.
Okay, Tom, tell us. That's great.
Yes. When Tom, listen, you know what? There was an individual that years ago that I did not get along with, and nothing to do with gaming, but he was like, he said, hey, you know what? You're fucking fat. I went, yeah, but you know what? You have no fucking hair, and I can always lose weight. You're never gonna grow your hair.
Nice.
So I went,
nice one.
Go fuck yourself. And
all right, enough about us. Enough about us.
Right, enough about us.
Let's talk about stuff.
Let's talk about the. Shall we talk about the elephant? Let's
do it because this is actually, for all the stuff we talk about, this got a lot of attention this week. Not just from us. I saw Tenkar's Tavern was a buzz of this on Facebook. Was a buzz with talking about Candlekeep Mysteries, and so I had to do some deep. I did some deep delving on there, so I've got some interesting opinions. So why don't you sum it up for us? Let us, for those who don't know what we're talking about here, and tell us the state of things going on with WotC.
Well, and here's the thing: Candlekeep Mysteries. For those that are following on at home, you might want to take out a little piece of scrap paper and take some notes down because it's going to get fun. Any case, Candlekeep Mysteries. It was Wizards of the Coast attempt to say, let's put out a product that is, dare I say the word, inclusive. Because really, it's what it was.
Right.
This is where, when we had oh my God, they're putting out a handicap dungeon with elevators so you can have wheelchairs. That came from Candlekeep Mysteries.
Yep.
So it was, I think, like you said, 15 authors?
15 or 17, I can't remember exactly, but yes, it's an anthology. It's an anthology adventure set in the Forgotten Realms.
All right, so it's about 12.5 authors. All right, the vast majority of which are unpublished prior to this. So that means that Wizards of the Coast went and said, "All right, who are the people in the neighborhood that are making the most noise? Let's co-opt them." That's my take on it. I could be wrong.
They got some bloggers, they got some streamers, they got some people who wrote for what's the living, what's their online campaign? I can't remember the name of it. They got, so in other words, so there's some people that had not been published before or have been published through non-traditional means. That they're trying to, just go out there and cast the net out there and maybe pull some talent out of there. You never know,
Like some of them may be self-published on the DM's Guild.
Yeah.
It's quite possible. Okay.
DM's Guild. That's where I was thinking of. DM's Guild. Yeah.
So they put together this project, and an individual by the handle of what's it? POC gamer / Panzer or something.
Panzer or something. Yes.
Yeah. So he was brought in. Now, he was a huge critic of Wizards of the Coast and how they were treating the Dungeons and Dragons IP. He was a vocal critic that they basically, he felt that, what was the Tasha's Cauldron was just doing lip service to things like taking care of the inequities or inequalities.
Tasha's Cauldron came out last year, and it was last year. That was supposed to, that was going to contain some big changes for the WotC universe. Well, as most things that happen with large companies, including Disney and all the whatever, the large changes amounted to basically a page just saying, "Hey, play the game the way you want." Right. There wasn't anything too, outrageous in there, but it was not. It was one of those things that made nobody happy, right? It didn't make traditionalists happy because you're changing our game on us. How dare you? It didn't make people who wanted to see the game more inclusive happy because it didn't go far enough. It just basically said, yeah, there's no level limits. Orcs are good, or orcs can be good. I mean, just threw in some, like I said, it was about a page. It was about a page of, here's some things you can do to change your game up. So yes, it even though, like I said, my favorite term, performative activism, it was kind of like, yeah, we're going to do all these things to help the game, but it's just kind of.
Well, it's like the disclaimer they put onto all their legacy products. On Drive-Thru RPG, it's like this comes from an era that might contain, information or presentation that some may find to be sexist, any kind of issue you can add to it. So they were trying to cover all the bases, and without actually changing any of the material, without actually removing it, which I appreciate the fact that they didn't. But just that putting up that announcement was kind of like smack, here we go, because we're so much better now, but they're not so much necessarily better now. So what happens with, and yes,
Panzer Lion's the guy's name. Panzer Lion.
Panzer Lion.
I'm sorry, I don't know his real name, but that's his handle.
Yes. So what happened with this is that POC Gamer was brought onto the project. Again, one of a dozen and a half individuals or so brought onto this project that were not experienced in dealing with publishers, especially publishers on the sides of Wizards of the Coast. You're not dealing with, Tenkar putting together a zine, okay? This is Wizards of the Coast. So he submits his document. He was told he has like an 8,000 word limit. He comes in at like 65. They send it back to
7,500. It came in at 7,500 words. Don't ask me how I remember this.
All right.
And he had to cut he only cut like 200 words or something. It was something crazy.
Yeah, not much. And again,
but they ended up cutting about 1,300 words when they did their edit, that was the issue.
Well, here's the deal, though. When they tell you 8,000 words, that's the high end. They're not looking for 8,000 words. They're saying, if you give me more than 8,000 words, we're rejecting this outright. He came in under the limit. Now they're going to trim the fat because they're dealing with 14, 15, 16 other authors that they have to cram into. How big is that candle key? Probably 128 pages, I'm going to guess, 144. Can't be much more than that. So you're not getting a lot of pages. Especially once you put in art and maps, your space gets down to a pretty nitty-gritty. So now what COG Gamer did, for those following along at home, is that he decided that he was going to put in new lore for the Forgotten Realms.
Specifically for the Gripply race, who are they're like frog creatures. The bullywugs are frogs in the swamp. The Gripply are frogs in the trees. That's really the big difference.
Right, and he was connecting them to the Yuan-Ti, and it was going to be listen, the way he explained it on his blog, it sounded really interesting, and I think it would be great as an ecology article
Sure.
or
Yeah.
something up on the DMs Guild. Not that I buy anything from the DMs Guild, really, because I'm not playing 5th edition. However, something like that's what I used to enjoy in Dragon Magazine with the ecology articles, because it allowed you to look at a monster or a creature that you wouldn't normally look in a certain light and give it a little extra depth. And I appreciate that. However, that wasn't what he was brought on for. He was brought on to present an adventure.
Sure.
And I'm pretty sure it didn't say present an adventure and give us background information on the adventure. Because there's two issues with that. Okay. One is it links it to the world, although it's technically being presented for Forgotten Realms. At the same time, they want it to be neutral enough that it can be played in anybody's home campaign, or else you're losing a segment of the market. But secondly, that's a lot of extra space that could be used for adventure material. Especially when you aren't actually being brought on to write lore.
Yeah,
So
especially when you're working with a project that has a set. Here's how big it has to be, and you got 15 other guys writing also their adventures. So you can't have 15 other guys coming in at 8,000 words when the limit's 7,000. I mean, it's a balancing act. I mean, anthologies are tough, man, because you're working with a lot of different people, and you've got to do a lot of different editing with a lot of different styles. It's not if you just have one person doing something. I know, and this is from my experience with Frog God, it's much easier just to call that guy on the phone, pick up the phone up and say,
right.
"Hey, what did you mean by this, or what is this?" When you have 15 other guys, man, that's tough. I mean, that's tough to get, because not everybody has the same writing style. Not everybody else has the same level of. I mean, their levels aren't the same. I mean, there's the same writers or level. Like Steve Winter is a level 25 writer because he's just amazing.
Right.
He's been doing it for 40 years. This guy's like a level 1. I'm sorry, he's never been published before. He's a blogger. He may be a level 1.5. So yeah, there's people that you might have to edit more or have a sterner hand on than people that don't know what they're doing. Look, if I was writing, I would appreciate editing, because I don't know what I'm doing. Now, maybe if I've published 20 or 30 items, I might be like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing now. I don't appreciate these edits, but yeah, so it's a delicate balancing act.
Well, here's the thing too. You're dealing with 15, 16 authors, the vast majority of which have not been professionally published, and you're writing adventures. And here's the thing. When you write a published adventure compared to writing an adventure for your home campaign, it's a wholly different process. Because you have to write something that can be used by the average DM, not somebody from your gaming group that you're writing it for. So you have to include information that you might not include for yourself because you presumptively know it. And you have to spell out certain stuff, but things like background. The problem with including all this background is that you're shoehorning the end user into your narrative, and most people, or at least a lot of people, aren't going to appreciate that. If nothing else, it's wasted space that could have been used for other adventure material.
Yeah,
and I think that's what happened. So, Mike, you did a bit more research on this. I'm going to toss the ball.
I was interested in, so if you want to go online now, when Eric and I were talking about it last week, there was a little bit, but there's pages of discussion about this. And so one of the things you do when you do this is you go to the source material. So I went to people who actually had read the material, and this all, the biggest, so Panzer Lion had written this, and by all accounts, it sounds like Eric said, it sounds very interesting. It might not have been what he was hired to do. We don't actually know what he was hired to do. We have no clue. So that's between him and the editor. The editor, by the way, was Kim Mohan, who's a
he's been doing it for ages.
Oh God, he's been doing it forever. So this is a professional editor. So he had some cut. They cut something. Well, without consulting him, they cut an additional 1,300 words. Which, if you've been writing for a while and you're a professional writer, this just happens sometimes. I don't think he was aware of the process, that sometimes you can get your stuff really chopped up. But the main complaint seems to be the use of the word primitive. And for those of those who don't understand the word primitive, first of all, there's racist and there's colonialist. They're not exactly related, but they can be. A colonialism is when it's kind of a dog whistle. It's basically making somebody feel bad by basically making them feel like they're lower level than a more sophisticated person. So what Panzerline objected to was the use of the word primitive, which a word he did not put in his manuscript, but that is often used as a dog whistle to make other people feel, especially POC people, feel like you're not as developed as other nations. And then this is just one of those words that POC will avoid because of the colonial aspects of it. However, so he was rejected the use of the word primitive, which it can be insulting. Primitive can be insulting, especially if you're talking to somebody that is sensitive to that kind of thing. However, people who've actually read the adventure said the term primitive in the manuscript or what's printed refers to the dwellings the group we live in and to some furniture or decoration they put up. It's never used to refer to the actual race.
Interesting.
So I think that was the major issue, was that, and then of course then people will say, well he's the writer. If he doesn't want that word in there, it shouldn't be in there. But that's just not how this works. It's not how it works. And the word was not being used in a pejorative manner. It was not saying that I suppose there's not a lot of Gripply around to object to it.
I am a Gripply, and I am personally offended by the word.
But this is the same thing that went on with the orcs. Or no, they're not actually bad or good, because they might possibly be black people in some people's mind. So it's kind of connected to that same thing. Yes, the Gripply are a primitive fantasy race. They don't really exist. However, you could, if you squinted really far and looked through it, you could say, okay, well, they're a stand-in for other quote unquote primitive cultures, such as African cultures, and so that's why he was very careful not to use the word primitive. However, primitive does have a meaning besides the colonial aspects of it. It has a meaning, right. The example I gave to Eric is we all use cell phones, right? Well, I'm a sophisticated, I think, person, but if I tied 2 tin cans together with a string and I wanted you to talk on it, you'd be perfectly, honest in saying that's a primitive form of communication, because it is.
Like, I haven't done that in something like
that shows my age.
Years.
I know, but there are some things that are primitive without being insulting. I don't know. Like, take computers. I'm on a state of the art nice computer here, but if I was to pull out a TRS-80, my first computer, and start tapping on it, that's pretty primitive. That's a primitive computer.
Coleco Atom. Ooh.
So yeah, there was an objection to the word, but I think that in this case it was he's just pulling it. And I saw a lot of people making the assumption that the primitive was used to refer to the word race, when other people were saying, nope, that's an assumption, but it's not true. That's not what it was used. It was used twice in the manuscript. So that seems to be one of the main things, along with him being mad that his work was edited to begin with, which is just silly, right? Because your work's going to be read. If your work for hire, it's going to be edited.
Well, here's the thing, all right? And he talks again. I read the initial article on what was it, Bell of Lost Souls or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the article didn't go in depth as much as going to POC Gamer's blog. And here's the thing. Yes, he does talk about, and they use the word primitive, and he took that as but then most of his complaint, that is a focus, but most of his complaining is that they took his lore out and they removed his lore, and now the story didn't make any sense. But you know what?
Right.
You are, let's be honest, okay? How many adventures make sense as to why they're there? Very few. It's kind of like you have to be, put your blinders on and just say, I'm here to play an adventure. I'm not really too worried about the setup, besides the fact that it puts me in the adventure. And that is, again, they're dealing with 12 creators. They aren't going to, he was also complaining that, well, other creators got more communication than I did. Now, I am not Kim Mohan. I don't know how Kim runs stuff, but there's two ways to look at it. One, Kim could have looked at it, or maybe he should have looked at it and said, "Hey, this guy is a huge complainer, and maybe we have to stroke the ego a bit to make sure we get he doesn't go apeshit on us." Or the result was, all right, we've paid him. That means I don't have to deal with him anymore. Let's get this into a publishable format. Because let's be honest, okay? You can go back and forth between author and editing staff numerous times and not get what you need to publish. Because, especially if the author you're dealing with isn't an experienced writer that knows how to deal with publishers and what they want. And to put things in perspective, I'm going to give a big shout out to Lewis Porter Jr. Lewis put out a video on YouTube. You can do a search on YouTube for it. If I can find it, I'll try to link it on this on a comment on this podcast. But he actually did a follow-up as his perspective as a publisher. And for those that don't know, Lewis is a person of color, and he was like, "Listen, he goes, when you're writing for spec, when you're writing for another publisher, he goes, you're writing to get paid. You're not writing. If we're going to take your stuff and put it into publisher format, we're not worried about your feelings." And I think that is huge. And a lot of the feedback that I saw online from the conversations that were going on Facebook, the people that had an issue with either how I covered it or Chris Doggill did a post about it because he had worked as the for Hackmaster doing regional tournament adventures and stuff like that and editing them. And people were like, they took offense that we missed the picture and this guy was offended because his work was changed. And the reality is, you're not working for yourself. Your work's going to be fucking changed.
I don't want to say there's no point to this. Another example I'll give is that there's a lot of Native Americans that object to the term savages, or savage being used in connection with Native Americans. It's something that 100 years ago nobody thought that was bad. Oh, these are untamed savages, and they were just called savages to their face. Now we look at it, and yeah, there's a lot of bad connotations to that. And so Native Americans, very rightly so, don't like to be connected to the word savage, and which is absolutely understandable. And the same thing can be said with the word primitive. But reading Panzer Lion's, when I read his blog, I think I got the impression that he had totally different expectations. So if Watsy can be blamed for something, or he can be lying. I mean, either he's either lying or he absolutely went into the project with totally different expectations than what happened. And that's the impression I got from reading it. So he felt like he was asked to do what he did, and once he did what he did, he got no communication until they cut his adventure up. Now, the no communication thing, look.
Well, there was some communication.
That's right.
Yeah, initially, but
you're an anthology author, anthology editor. You do not have time to contact 15 different guys and ask them, "Hey, is this okay if I take out this sentence here, this word here?" It's just not happening, folks. No. Like I said, if you're working with one author, it's understandable. Yes, you can talk to him. So I understand both points here. I think that he is not very professional. He's not a professional writer. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. He's not a professional writer.
His expectations were
totally different expectations than what happened. Watsy was just kind of business as usual. Here's what we do all the time. It's just they walked into a buzzsaw here because they're being judged very harshly this time. And look, Eric and I are no fans of Watsy. We jack on him all the time.
Oh God,
but
yes.
In this case, they weren't doing anything that a company their size doesn't do, in any publication. That this is going to happen. They're going to edit stuff out.
Well, and here's the other aspect of all this. Like you're saying, you're dealing with 15, 16 people that, again, the vast majority all of them were brought in because, and I'm sure the sales pitch was, "Hey, listen, we understand that you are an underrepresented part of our community. We'd like to bring you onto this project to give a different perspective on how adventures are written," or however they pitched it to all these people. And the reality is, they didn't want 15, 16, 17 different thematic adventures. They wanted to get something out in the end, and this is something we're not even talking about yet. All your adventures in this book thematically have to have a similar presentation. They have to read in a similar fashion. Now, every author has their own way of writing. That is certainly part of it. But when you're giving an anthology, you have to get a coherent voice to all that, and that is going to affect it. Now, something I find very interesting. Again, we're talking 15, 16, 17 authors. Only one has made a public statement really complaining about the issue.
Well, only one probably wants to ever work for WotC again.
Well, never
or doesn't want to work for WotC again.
But
there's no way he's going to get a job with WotC ever again. But
not only that,
maybe that's it.
He's not going to get a job with any of the major publishers. Now, you might find some publishers out there that are like, "Oh, well, this is the kind of person that we want working for us because you're trying to send a certain signal," and that's fine. But Wizards of the Coast, here's the issue, too. Wizards of the Coast thought that by doing this, they were going to co-opt some of their harsher critics and bring them on board. And they are going to be our biggest defenders because, look, we found these people that criticize us online, and we brought them in, and they're working, and their first published work from a major publisher is going to be us, and we're good. They're going to be co-opted. Well, guess what?
Sure.
This individual in question, POC Gamer, basically said, "Fuck you." Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't have said "fuck you." What I'm saying is the expectations that Wizards of the Coast had from the publicity end of it was certainly not what they wound up getting. Because in the end, because you mentioned that I believe Chris Perkins had to do a 1 hour video.
He did an hour video about it. Wasn't specifically about this at all. It was just about here's what we do when we publish and we edit and this and that. It was informative. It's kind of boring at the beginning. He has to get rolling a little bit, but it's informative in that he was just saying, look, here's the process we have to do. This is just a process. This is part of the process. You may get ground up in the process, but it's not personal. It's not personal. We're not trying to be racist. We're not trying to be sexist. It's just, this is the process that we go through. And if you're taking it personally, then maybe you're not a writer. Maybe you need to be or maybe you need to be publishing your own stuff. Indiegogo and Kickstarter are rolling along just fine. Maybe that's what you need to do is do that
RPG.
and then make some bucks that way. Yeah.
Now, here's something else that POC Gamer brought up, and now this is tangent, probably tangential to this, but something that everybody else who's going to be working or hopes to work with Wizards of the Coast needs to keep in mind. He pitched a number of ideas to Wizards of the Coast before they settled on his adventure. Those pitches are owned by Wizards of the Coast.
True.
So he even pointed out he doesn't think that he could even publish on DM's Guild because the work he'd want to publish is likely owned by Wizards of the Coast. So, folks, keep that in mind. I know I talked about this over the weekend, that if you really want to change the world or make world-defining adventures, write for yourself, because that way you own the IP.
I'll give you an example within recent history. For those that may or may not remember, Eberron came about as a contest. Wizards of the Coast said, look, send us your pitch for a campaign world, and we'll choose the best one and actually make that into publication. Well, Keith Baker submitted Eberron, and it won. But you know what? Every single entry belongs to Wizards of the Coast now. So
one didn't. One didn't. What was the one that was published by? There was one that was published by.
Yeah.
Oh God, I know the cover. I can picture the freaking cover. It was like the number 2. I don't know if Wizards of the Coast gave him the rights back on that when he asked for it?
Something happened with that. Yeah, because I know you're talking about, because I remember that. That was the guy that came in second place.
Yes.
And I think WotC, if I remember correctly, the story was they realized they were never going to do anything with it, and they gave the rights back, and I cannot remember the name who it was. It's somebody that we've heard of. When you say the name, you're like, oh, it's that guy. Dang.
We do great show prep, folks. Great show prep.
Yeah. Well, we're the hex crawl. Sometimes you hex crawl into different areas that you don't know that you're going to be talking about.
And I can picture the cover. That's what's annoying me.
Hold on, I'm on a Reddit thread here. Maybe it's going to tell me Vamp for me.
Rich Burlew from
Rich Burlew or the Stick. That's it. Yep, he was the other finalist, and yes. So but yeah, if you submitted your home campaign to that, thinking you might be rich someday because this could be great, guess what? You don't own that home campaign anymore, boy.
Right.
Wizards of the Coast owns it, which has got to be a kick in the nuts for some people that were just really, worked really hard on campaign and just really had a great presentation and thought maybe it was not quite as good as Eberron, but it was pretty darn good. And now they can never publish in that setting because it belongs to WotC. So you have to be very careful about, and DM's Guild's pretty upfront about saying, look, anything you write for DM's Guild is going to be ours. So be very careful about what you write. You can't use it anymore. You can't do it.
No. It's owned lock, stock, and barrel, at least rights-wise, by Wizards of the Coast. Now, Wild Die Woodard, very simply, he should have kept his issues with the whole matter off social media. That's probably true. But here's the deal. You have to realize he is historically, if you read his blog and you read his social media, this is his not order of the stick, but this is his stick.
Yeah,
is to be offended and to call out Wizards of the Coast. So this is a monster of Wizards of the Coast own making. They tried to co-opt him, and they fucked up with the co-opting. All right, we're going to bring in one of our biggest critics, who listen. His blog is fairly read. It has a 3.5 million Alexa ranking, and perspective. Tenkar Tavern is 160,000. Noble Knight Games like 151,000. So we're going to put perspective in for comparative use. He's got a loud voice on social media, just like when they had Oriental Adventures Bruja last year. He's making a Bruja, and right now he doesn't care about the fact that he's burned every bridge he could ever have with any major publisher, because he's getting the attention that he wants.
He's getting what he wants, which is more attention he's ever had. By the way, I found an interesting quote here. This is from Rich Burlew, or the Stick guy. So he submitted his. He has mentioned before he is not allowed to reveal this setting because Wizards of the Coast owns the rights to it, reserves the ability to publish it or use it in the future as they desire. So he had to sign an NDA, and he cannot even tell you what his setting was about now.
All right,
that's how restricted. He wasn't the one that. He wasn't number two. He wasn't number two. But he says that he cannot even tell you what his setting was about. That's how the NDA covered it. So yes, if you're going to publish on your own, think good and hard about selling your work or selling your rights to the work to WotC or any other big company. Because he can never write in it again. He can never use it. He can never even talk about it. He can't even tell you what his idea was. That's crazy.
And it wasn't Midnight. It was not Midnight.
No, it was not Midnight. Midnight is awesome, by the way.
I love
Midnight's coming back. Midnight's supposed to be coming back too. Yes, so
I would love to take. I think Midnight's coming back for 5e. I'd love to take that and downsize to the Swords and Wizardry. I think it would run perfectly. Oh my god! So yeah, Midnight was fun. There's a lot of ones from that
Midnight was Midnight was what if Sauron won the war?
Yeah,
and so yeah, it's a cool setting because it's pretty dark. It's grim dark, man. It's dark and grim because you can't win. You're just basically fighting battles that make you feel better, so to speak. Because you're never going to overthrow Sauron. You're just going to, you'll win every once in a while, but you're going to win the battles, but you're going to lose the war eventually. So it's a very cool setting, very, very cool setting that they're going to bring back. I wish I'm kicking myself in the pants because at one point I had probably over half that setting. I just bought the books and read it. And when I did one of my clear outs of my collection, for some reason I thought Midnight would be one of the ones to go, and so got rid of all my Midnight books. But unfortunately, that was probably not a good idea, because it actually was very well written. Probably my favorite 3E publication.
They were my favorite 3E publications were Midnight and Dragonstar. Dragonstar was, to me, Spelljammer done right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, that was a shame. That one died when the Wizards went to 3.5.
Right, that's right. Yeah, Dragonstar was pretty cool. I do remember that one too. There was some. Golly, I gotta find. There's an adventure that I think Wolfgang Barr wrote for 3E that was really good. One of the best intro adventures I've ever read in my life, and it was supposed to be part of a setting that never came about. There's only the one adventure. Let me see if I can find the name of it. But if you ever see this on the discount shelf, where that's where you usually find it, it's very good, and buy it. It's one of the few 3E stuff or items that I just really thought was wow. That was very well written. I'm not surprised Wolfgang wrote it, because Wolfgang is just a great writer. He's an incredible writer. So I'll find for the name of it so I can find it here. So.
Well, here's the thing with Wolfgang, and folks might not realize this. Wolfgang was one of the earlier publishers / writers to do crowdfunding.
Yep.
This is before Kickstarter. I was a backer of one of his earlier stuff, and it was great being part of that process. And it made me much more comfortable with Kickstarter once I found Kickstarter. And yes, folks, there are products that I ordered on Kickstarter. And I say ordered, not backed. I ordered because I expected to get this nice leather jacket. Fuck you. And a nice charger for my laptop and phone. Fuck you. That mailed to an address that didn't exist. And then of course you have Gareth Sharko, which is a double.
Oh,
a double favorite.
What would a show be without a Gareth Scargo reference?
Gareth.
Gareth.
I'd punch him in the throat. Well, you'd have to get out of the chair.
Oh, dear God. Internet tough guy.
Yes. So,
but anyway, I'm sure that this is the du jour. Oh, by the way, the item I'm talking about. So if you see this in a discount, Ben, it's called son of a bitch. It's called The Griffin's Legacy: A Sun and Scale Adventure. It came out in the early aughts, and it was a beginning adventure for 3E, but it can be easily converted. It's a very, very good adventure with a really good setting. It was supposed to be part of a system. I talked to Wolfgang when he came to North Texas one year about it, because I'm just so impressed with it. And he said, yeah, it was the whole thing. They worked out a whole world, the whole interesting thing, and it just never came about. But yeah, it's called Griffin's Legacy: Sun and Scale. If you ever see that in your discount shelf, pick it up. Wolfgang Bauer, you will not be disappointed. Excellent adventure. Apropos of nothing, but I just want to pimp that because it's really good.
We always apropos of nothing.
We do. That's what we're about.
We could have called this podcast apropos of nothing.
We need to have one of those podcasts where at the end, they list all the links to everything we talked about. We're not that professional to do that. If we knew what we were doing, we would do something like that, because we always talk about stuff during the show, and then later on somebody's like, Mike and Eric were talking about something really cool, but I don't really remember what it was. So
I got news.
We're sorry.
We don't remember what it was once we log out.
Nope.
It's like, Mike, Eric, are you going to listen to your podcast so you can put links into everything? And it's like, you know what? I like myself a lot. I really do. But I don't like my voice a lot to listen to it a second time, generally speaking.
I can't stand to watch our podcast, even though I don't think I think our whatever you call these things are fine. It's just that I don't want to hear myself talk about the same thing that I already talked about. Again, I just like, okay, I talked about that. I don't want to hear myself talk about it again. I don't know how. I remember when Glenn used to do editing stuff. You'd have to listen to the whole podcast and then do editing. Who wants to do that? That is a. I mean, whoever does that, you have my congratulations, because I do not like to listen to the same podcast over and over again.
You know what Glenn's biggest complaints about me were when we used to podcast together?
Oh dear, what?
Eric, You just dropped the F-bomb too much. I go, what the fuck are you talking about? He goes, well, that stuff. He goes, I got to bleep all that. I got to, like,
You gotta bleep it all out. Go through there.
Why?
Oh, come on, man.
I go, and especially now, if I go right now to our demographics here, I'm gonna make people feel
people
old.
That curse, people that
people that curse here. Viewer age for this live stream, 84% are between 45 and 54.
A bunch of old fucks.
11.5% are between 35 and 44.
It's a terrible demographic. The best demographic is between 18 and 35. We have a horrible demographic.
Oh, wait. Time out. 4.6% is 55 to 64. So what are our demographics? Our demographics are
old fucks.
They're old fucks, old school gamers that listen to these belts. But we have yes, nobody.
So
according to YouTube, okay, we have nobody over 65 because we're probably too offensive, and we have nobody under 34. By the way, I think that one of our live listeners must be Laramie. He's offered to be a guest.
Laramie can come on whenever he wants to. Laramie's a trip.
Yeah, Laramie would be a lot of fun.
Maybe we should have Laramie next week when I'm sick, and then he could tell me what I'm going to expect with my second shot as I'm going through like convulsions or whatever. I don't know, not convulsions, but nausea and headaches, and he can tell me.
Yeah. Oh, I left out the headache part.
I would never listen to my own podcast, Bad Mike. That is a pretty accurate quote there. Yes, get that on a t-shirt. Okay, you know what? I might do that. I think
I might do that too, man. I think that would be perfect for North Texas.
I never listen to my own podcast.
I listen to my own podcast.
I don't.
David. All right. See, now we have an 11.5er with David Betzak.
Whoa. Hello.
All right. Listen, it's good to know your demographics, but that also means that I can curse freely because I know the number of people under the age of 18. Well, they're listening with their parents anyway. Odds are because or listening via their parents' account. Because if Michael Gross has Michael Gross the third listening in, I actually think Michael Gross the third now is old enough to listen to me and my potty mouth. Oh, we lost Mike. So now you got my big head on the screen. So, folks, we will wait for Mike to reconnect as because Mike's like, oh, how did I do this? I hit the wrong button. I'm sure it's going to be what Mike says. I'm going to look at some of the comments we have here. Cal, over 50. Well, there we go. Here's Mike returning.
That was my. I got a little too crazy with my mouse there. What I was saying
what does that button do?
Sometimes I do that. Yeah, it means you're going to shut off the broadcast. My wife will occasionally listen to a box, so she skews because probably one of our less than 1% female listeners is there. Her, Kim George, and Liz Stewart, and maybe Alyssa Fadden every once in a while. That's it. I can name our female viewers right there.
All right. So here, Mike, you want to know the numbers according to YouTube?
Let me know, Eric. Tell me.
All right. So, folks, just so you know, I could probably drop the C word and it will never get heard.
Whoa.
Because, according to YouTube, 100% of the listeners are part of the Sausage Factory. And
like I said, I just named all 4 of our female listeners
right
there. That was it.
So, folks, just so you know, neither Mike nor I are eligible bachelors, so that's probably why we have no females.
Yeah,
because they can't go. Oh! I want that one. That's the one that I want. Give me that. No, we're not.
Look at this 300-pound list over here. Yeah, that's
now the podcast. We do hit, I think, 5% female listeners.
Oh yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Hello, ladies.
Bob, over 55 soon. Oh, we have under 24-year-old trying to bring the age down. Ask Kelsey.
Hey,
thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for skewing us.
Your brother said
what is he doing?
Jesus Christ.
How did he find this? I'd been hiding this podcast from him. I don't know. What is he doing here?
It's 2 a.m. in Murray, Old England. By the way, David, I need to apologize. I had meant to have. We were going to start the was it the tavern chat hangout for the other side of the world and our shift workers yesterday. But Tenkar,
that's right. What happened with that?
Tenkar was up all night with explosive bowels, and then Tenkar slept through.
TMI.
Yeah. So we're gonna aim again for next Tuesday. There were a few attendees, but I was not one of them. And also, Laramie has been given instructions that if I did not show up by 9:01, he's not to text me. He's to call me because I don't hear text. If I hear a text at 9:00, I figure my son got up early in Utah, and I don't need to read it because it's just going, "Are you up yet?" And I'm like, "Fuck no, I'm not going to answer it." So there you go.
Now my brother put it on there. I was on Pornhub and this popped up. That is a lie because Pornhub's too classy to have a link to us on there. As sad as that is, as sad as that sounds, it's true. Pornhub wouldn't have nothing to do with this.
Yeah, it's like we Pornhub for
we're not gonna do not that one.
So we would be a fat married fucks I don't want to fuck. That would be our category. I don't know how to
terrible.
spell that.
It'd be so terrible. Yeah, that'd be the worst subject ever.
The exact opposite of MILF. So that would not be us.
Although you know what the rule of the internet is, whatever there is, there's porn for that. So there's got to be porn out there for fat old married guys. So I don't know. So. We just got to hit that. Well, maybe we're hitting that demo right now. Who knows? I don't know.
I hope not. S. Kelty just launched my first RPG Kickstarter today.
Nice.
Best of luck. And by the way, send me a link.
Yes.
Folks,
you, brother.
You can always reach me at tenkarstavern@gmail.com. I would love to take a peek at it, and if there's something that I like, I'll share it. I'll share it on the blog side.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, definitely. We have seemed to have found our niche in promoting Kickstarters. I don't want to brag, but I'm going to brag.
Yes.
Is that we have been told by people who have Kickstarters and Indiegogo's that we help boost their product, that they saw sales go up after the show aired. So, we'll do what we can to help you out.
David Betsack 42, David Thompson 59. We're doing the shout outs of ages, man. You know what? We could be like one of those shows. Tell us your birthday so we can announce it online.
and here we go, Grandpa. No, we're not going
to. Look at that. Tim Kask is no. Tim will never.
Oh no. Oh, Zach's still on here. Crap. Thought we might have got rid of him.
Oh, I haven't gotten that far in the.
We're getting a lot of messages tonight. What's going on here?
Oh my God! Right there with, I'm putting everything up on the screen, but we're just gonna go through.
So what else we got? What else we got to talk about? Let's go into while we're delving through messages. Is there something else that isn't there one? There's one other story we're going to revisit.
Oh yeah, and that was the perfect RPG.
RPG. That's it.
So now,
why are we revisiting? Is there
because
new news or?
Well, here's the thing. I thought it was newsworthy. It certainly was. I didn't realize it would. I thought it was 25 pages at lunchtime on Big Purple Drive. Was it RPG.net?
Oh, why'd you name them? Do not name the devil.
Well, I cannot name them 3 times, or else they'll preemptively ban me.
Oh,
because
you'll be banned.
Tenkar's talking about Big Purple. God. Ban him.
Terrible.
Why ban him?
Terrible.
Because somebody's accused him of being both woke and alt-right. So therefore, we must ban him for being a contradiction. So yes. It was apparently 25 pages when Rach and I went out to have our lunch. You mentioned before logging into this, that it was at 34 pages or some god-awful number like that. Listen, I don't go to Big Purple anymore, but when I did go to this thread, which Zach Laser linked to me, it popped up with one of these like trigger warnings, which I've never seen a trigger warning on a forum, and it was, warning, you may be triggered as this discusses topics that some people might find offensive, like misogyny and isms.
That's us.
Just like, oh yeah, we are a bunch of isms. Like I am an obesism, but other than that, I'm sure I fit other isms. But I was just like, holy shit. And I just started reading, and what it comes down to is I think folks were more offended not by the fact that he tried to, the individual question, Luke Crane, tried to sneak an offensive member that had been ostracized from the gaming community onto his Kickstarter. I think they were more offended that he abused his authority at Kickstarter to change his name from Luke Crane to Burning Wheel, which, by the way, Burning Wheel conjectures. I just think of, dare I say it, Burning Wheel reminds me of Crotch Rod, or
it's a fun game. It's a good read though. Burning Wheel's not bad.
Yeah, but it just reminds me. It just reminds me of something that you're like, what did you get in the jungle? Oh, I served a year and a half in the jungle in Vietnam, and I came out with Burning Wheel.
Yeah,
you wouldn't believe what the Burning Wheel was.
I sat in that toilet seat at the concert, and I came home with Burning Wheel.
Yeah, awful. It's like, thank God it's not a venereal disease, but it sure seems like it could be one. No, but they were more offended that he had the ability to do that, and that he had the ability to make his Kickstarter a preferred pick of Kickstarter. So they weren't so much offended that he
it's ludicrous.
They were offended that he abused his authority at Kickstarter.
But it's ludicrous because we've all talked about this before. Kickstarter doesn't obey; they don't follow their own rules anyway. I guess this was just too egregious to let slide because they are always breaking their rules. The whole in-world, that was the biggest rule break of all time, and they did that. And so, yeah, I think this was just too egregious for even them to put up with it. And it's one of those things where let's just cut this arm off before it starts rotting, because all it was going to do is going to be drip, drip, drip every day. More people bitching and more big purple, people getting banned, talking about what a piece of garbage Luke Crane. I mean, it was just going to be on and on and on. Let's just, buy him out. Golden parachute. From what I understand, reading, he owns stock in Kickstarter. He's not going to be, hurting for sandwich money. It was just their way of saying, yeah, this was too egregious for even us to try to hide and sweep under the rug.
Right.
We can't do it.
And folks, here's the thing. And listen, just like the Anger Brigade has realized that social media is a huge, powerful weapon, and you don't need a large amount of angry people to force changes from corporations. That goes to people that normally would be the ones riling up the Anger Brigade. They can be targeted too. So, again, once you put yourself in that position that you could be a target, you got to watch what you're doing. If you give a shit. I don't give a shit. All right. I've been targeted by our own in-house Anger Brigade for years, and I've basically watched them burn themselves out because I'm retired. You can't threaten my income. You can't threaten my associations, and I don't give a shit.
That's always a good defense, is when you don't give a shit. The more you have to lose, the more they can control you. The less you have to lose, the more you can just. How about you hear this? I'm going to turn it up, So I like that.
Read between the lines, because I don't want to be offensive, but I'll be offensive.
But by the way, talking about people getting hoisted by their own petard. One of the things I've enjoyed about the Me Too movement, because I think the Me Too movement is probably too long in coming about. One of the best parts about it was watching all the Hollywood fucks get nailed in it.
Oh my God.
Thought it was, those guys were getting away with shit for so many years and thought, oh, Me Too, that's awesome. Finally. And then all of a sudden they get Me Too'd out to the point where they don't have jobs anymore. That's been awesome to watch, really, because, I think for a long time they thought they were the top of the food chain. A lot of the Hollywood people who just got away with that for just decades. You had the casting couch, right? You had the, wink, wink. You want a part as a extra on Charlie's Angels? Wink, wink. You got to meet me over at my office later on. It's wonderful to see all those guys finally just get absolutely just blasted online and blasted out of their jobs. So,
yes, it was an open secret for years that this stuff was going on, and I'm glad now that it is exposed. Mm-hmm. Listen, I will be the first person to say that as a member of this community, Have I fucked up and said stupid shit? Yes, I have. Have I done stupid shit? No. You're not gonna. I still remember my favorite. Again, somebody I'm not gonna name because by naming this individual, it's
Yes.
like
Oh,
it's like saying Candyman.
they could appear. Yes.
But Tenkar is a danger to all women in the gaming community, and this is not hyperbole or hyperbole. How the fuck you pronounce it? Another word that I think
It's hyperbole. You know you had it right. You're doing all right.
No, but you can say what you want. But no, go screw yourself. But that's once you put yourself out there, and folks, you got to realize this too. I know a lot of creators out there are like, how do I get my project seen? And social media is a cesspool. Well, first off, you need to get your project seen. And yes, social media is a fucking cesspool. If you decide that you want to swim in the cesspool in social media is Twitter. Certainly, we're not even gonna. If you're somebody that only works in 144 characters or whatever the new limit is, if you identify as a Gareth Skarka, then Twitter is your world. That's fine.
Yes.
But if you want to use social media to get your project seen and known, there is a safer way to do it than sharing to your wall on Facebook and having to read the masses meltdown about politics and social issues and whatever the flavor of the day is. Mm-hmm. And that is find well-moderated groups and get yourself known in a good way within that group. Because you know what? It's going to take you, I don't know, to get over 3,000 friends on Facebook took me probably 10 years. But you can join a group with 15,000 members in minutes. And that's the way, if you're adding positive commentary to that group, you'll make yourself known quicker that way than trying to go, ooh, Mr. Kata, look at me, in a general channel on Facebook. And same applies to even MeWe.
So we have 30 minutes here. This is something we can kind of get into. I'm totally going to spring this on you, Eric, even though we didn't talk about it all. I know I was bored. I listened to GDZ the other day, 2 nights ago.
So I listened to it too for a bit,
and
but then I got distracted.
Yeah, then you had to take a dump, and you.
But honestly, but I got distracted by Rach going, "Is that Skeeter?" I'm like, "Yeah." Wait, is that Zach? I'm like, "Yeah."
Why? Why, Eric?
No.
Why?
Well, no, because then she started listening and then asking me questions, and I was only half listening. So I kept having going, hold on a second, let me rewind. They went, you know what? I'm going to put something else on. Because
they had the rare for them, useful show. They talked about networking for small publishers, and it was actually an extremely useful show. There's a lot of great advice in there, but some of the things that you're talking about there, we can expand on a little. One of the things they talked about, and I thought was really good advice, is if you're think about being a small publisher and you don't want to enter like we call it, the cesspool of online media, which, it is. One of the best ways to do it is small conventions. Go to these small conventions, talk to people, talk to dealers, talk to people there, run your games. That's one of the best ways to get seen, get known. That way, you know what? If you do that enough, you don't have to do it WotC. You don't have to do anything WotC. You can do your own project. Look at people like Jeff Talanian. Look what Jeff Talanian's done. He never had to bow the knee to WotC. He went in and did his own stuff. Greg Gillespie, all these guys, they started out going to conventions and doing these small press things. Rocky and Ian, they kind of hung out at conventions and were hanging out at tables. They're kind of like the little kids at the schoolyard watching the baseball game through the knothole. And look at them now that they have their own publishing company. I mean, this is one of the best ways to get known and get started is to do smaller conventions. Like Eric said, forums are also extremely useful. The problem is there's not a lot of good forums out there anymore. There's so few of them.
not so much forums, but groups on Facebook.
Oh, groups.
Groups on
No, you're right. Group.
MeWe.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Because,
groups are good. Yeah,
and I'm not saying all groups, because there are some fucking groups on like Facebook that you're gonna go, oh, look at that, that's great. They talk about the same game system that I like, and you get into it, and you're like, oh my god, these people in this group are fucking psychopaths.
You can usually spot that. Just read a few posts. You read a few posts. If they're overwhelmingly negative, you don't need negativity in your life, especially with COVID and all this stuff. You don't need more negative. If there's more negative than positive, get the hell out of that group and go to a group where there's a lot of positivity.
Dandelion Games, but a lot of small publishers who have helped me a lot at North Texas.
That's great. Well, that's
that's
the perfect
huge.
kind of con for that. That's perfect.
I'll be honest with you. As an attendee of North Texas, who initially was not involved with any publishers, I met more publishers and witnessed deals going down. Like when you're sitting at a restaurant at the con and you're listening into a conversation between a freelance author and a small publisher, and you're listening to them hash out a publishing deal about, oh, I'll pick your. You're like, this happens at North Texas. It happened. I mean, I've witnessed that. Either directly or indirectly. Indirectly being told by somebody, hey, I made a deal for X, I made a deal for Y. Every time at North Texas. Do I hear that stuff at Gamehole and at GaryCon? I'm sure it happens. But
Zach Glazer got hired at GaryCon one year. I mean that's how those things work. I mean, those small conventions like GaryCon. I'm sorry, GameCon, not GaryCon.
Yeah, he got assimilated. That wasn't hired. Yeah, he did. He got assimilated. It was like the Borg. You will become a frog.
That is a great. I mean, that is a great. Great idea. Like you said, join groups, and then when you join these groups, find out where they're meeting. It could be a game. A lot of these groups, we don't have a lot of good ones in Dallas, but a lot of these cities have gaming groups that have a online forum or online Facebook page, and using that, like they'll meet. Those are good too. But yeah, definitely small conventions. That is a excellent way to start networking for your project, and without having look. I mean, my advice would always be, unless you're Alex Kamer, who I know he's doing some DM Guild stuff because he's always wanted to be published by WotC, and he knows he's going to lose control of his whatever he writes, but he's already written Sea King's Malice. He's writing something else for us. He doesn't have to do that. He just wants to do it because he wants to be published by WotC. Unless you really, really want to be published by WotC, do your own thing and do your own Indiegogo and your own Kickstarter. And you start out by building an audience and build your audience. It's not going to happen overnight, but you're going to be able to get enough people that are going to be interested in your project that you're going to be able to finance your own Indiegogo. And that's the way you go.
You got to build your audience first. Okay. So my suggestions are always going to be, before you take that dive into Kickstarter, get a small zine together or get a small project together, publish it through DriveThruRPG or itch.io, but probably DriveThru. You'll get more exposure. Have a website, even if it's only a blog, have it someplace where people can go and find you and links to your work. Mm-hmm. If you're just putting yourself out there and there's no place for people to find you, they're not going to find you. Something else. Dandelion Games, The Forge, and Metatopia are great resources for more indie-style game developers. And that is true. Of course, things I've heard about The Forge as an OSR gamer is pretty much on the
Forge can
gag me with the spoon. But I've also heard some good things. I've heard it is certainly a place to make connections. But here's something else, and this surprised me, and I'm part of it. Okay. The Discord servers, Tenkar's Tavern Discord server, we do a weekly, it's going to be twice a week. We do a weekly 9 p.m. hangout, and we're going to, on Thursday nights, and we're going to be, this is all Eastern times, and we're going to be doing a 9 a.m. Tuesday hangout, Eastern time. There are people that are regular people that hang out on Thursday nights that have found employment or gigs with other publishers because they made connections with smaller publishers by doing this, or even larger publishers. People like Michael Gross have gotten deals. He got to meet Throwy Games, Tom Wilson via that. People like Laramie is now doing customer service for Frog Guy.
We just had Levi on a couple weeks ago. Remember, he told us he met Casey Christopherson running games at a convention. That's how he got his in the industry, was running a game, and then Casey started running the game when he went to the bathroom and killed half the party. So yeah, that's how you. Yeah, that works great.
Networking is something you have to put some effort into, and you don't want to be making the Welcome Back Kotter reference. You don't want to be the ooh, Mr. Kotter, pick me. You want to be somebody who's like adding to the conversation, and somebody goes, "Hey, do you happen to do?" You want to be sought after, not the one that is pushing your way into there's a soft sell and a hard sell. And before I became a cop, I worked retail for 8.5 years. Majority of the time I worked retail, I sold electronics. I was not a hard sell. I was not going to be the one that was going to tell you got to, this Zenith TV, which I can make an extra commission on, is the best TV in the fucking world, even though it sucks shit because it was fucking Zenith back in the late 80s and 90s when Zenith did suck shit. I don't think Zenith's out of business now. Who the fuck knows? I was a soft sell. I would see what my potential buyer was looking to get, and then find them something that fit in with what they thought they wanted or needed, and we give them options. And I wasn't there to force it on them. You want them to go, you know what, I want this, not, oh, you're telling me to buy this. No, you want them to make the decision, or dare I say it, feel like they made the decision. But the soft sell is, in my opinion, always a best bet, and a soft sell of yourself is always best bet. But you have to be out there. You can't be so soft that you're not making any appearances. Which again, you have to become a known entity. You have to participate. But again,
and that's just so great though about today compared to 30, 40 years ago is, look, if you have a good computer and you have InDesign, you can write your own stuff. You can put it on drive-through. You can have a reputation. So if somebody asks you, "Have you done anything?" You say, "Sure. Here's what I've done." You can give them what you've done. It's not like the old days when you didn't really have, when what you'd done, you had to had a bunch of typewritten, photocopied sheets. You can actually hand somebody a professional-looking product and say, "Here's what I'm capable of."
Here's another secret. James Spahn. I think most of you out there probably know James Spahn. One of the biggest self-publishers, and he's worked for Cubicle 7. He's on.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
He's a major author on the new Lord of the Rings.
He did Star Wars. He did. Yeah, he's done. Oh my gosh, he's done all kinds of stuff, crazy stuff.
All right, so folks, do you realize that his initial work, his Labyrinth Lord classes and stuff, was all laid out on OpenOffice?
Yep, I still have all those books too. They were good. They were good stuff. Yeah. They were good. They were good things.
So, I mean, the investment is all right. You need at least a Chromebook, right? And you need OpenOffice. If you don't have a computer at your house at this day and age that can run OpenOffice, you're probably not watching this video. So the only point is moot. So. Wild Die Woodard. My writing gigs all started with drinks with publishers at conventions. Well, yes, and sometimes the publishers are lubricating you, and sometimes you're lubricating the publishers. But it all does work out. Dandelion Games, Virtual Cons have been a huge blessing for small publishers that need to get their product out there and play tested. And that's something else too. You can these days play test your products using a VTT. You can go into a forum, a Discord server, and say, "Hey, listen, I've got a new adventure for Swords and Witcher I'd like to play test. I'm looking for 4 to 6 players. If you're interested, PM me." And you know what? You'll get takers. People are looking to play, especially in the world of COVID. Yeah. People are still looking to play. VTTs are the way. I'd love to do an episode on VTTs, but I'll be honest with you. I'm lagging behind. I know Foundry is apparently the Foundry and Albert Rodeo are the two bigger options these days, and Foundry scares me because you have to.
Yeah, Albert's get a ton of pub lately.
Yes.
Albert's been huge lately. I even checked it out because I thought, well, must be doing something right because so many people were talking about him.
Glenn swears by Albert, so it's got to be good.
It
Old
seemed like
man
it seemed like it had a lower learning curve than a lot of the other ones, so I can see why that would appeal to some people.
Well, and it's very good for single sessions, one-offs. I don't think it's as good if you want to do a
Right.
campaign or continue an adventure from one session to the other. It's a little bit less effective for that. But again, the cost is nada. Yeah, so and that's huge. And I think that people have to realize that too. You can, as Mike said, the bar to self-publishing has never been lower. For VTC depends on
I remember when in the 80s I was in a band for briefly, and the problem back then was if you had a band, you had to book studio time to get stuff, and studio time was expensive, and you had to cut records or cassettes, and they were expensive, and they had a minimum order of like 1,500, which was crazy when you only had 100 friends to give them to. And you know what you can do now? Now, this is no lie, Eric. If you have an iPhone, you can download a programming feature in your iPhone. You can cut music demos on your freaking iPhone now. It's never been the bar to publishing music now is insane. I mean, if you're any kind of band, you could cut music and you can upload it to your website and people can check you out. The same publishing is about the same. I mean, really. I mean, seriously, you should be able to publish. Like I said, drive through is a ready-made platform for your ideas to get out there and to find people.
So the options, folks, are there. I think the only thing that holds people back these days is fear. Right? It's the fear of the unknown. If you've never published for yourself, or if you've never done something like that, it's a scary event.
Yeah.
You know, my my little sort of wizardry creature releases that I did years ago. I think I did them just before my first GaryCon. Or pay what you want, and I printed a bunch of copies at home and brought them with me and gave them out. And you know, you're going to get feedback on your stuff, and not all the feedback you're going to get is stuff that you want to hear, but you need to hear. Okay, you know, if you're never criticized, you'll never get better, right?
I had one of the first things I did when I worked for Frog God was if somebody wanted to submit something under the Swords and Wizardry name, they had to first submit it to us so we could look at it. So I was given that job. I didn't have a lot of other duties at the time except for customer service. And one gentleman submitted something, and it was really bad. I mean, it was a lot of work. So I said, look, here's what I would do. I say really bad. It needed a lot of work. It wasn't bad, just needed a lot of work. The idea was great. And I gave him a really, really long explanation what he did. And he thanked me. He said, you know what? I didn't think I was ready, but I'm glad you saved me the embarrassment of putting that up on drive-through. Because he needed editor was the number one thing he needed, really. And he said, you know, I just thank you so much. I'm going to hit it and go back to it and work on it really hard, and and then hopefully it'll look a little better. But honest criticism is better than no criticism at all. Believe me, even if it's honest criticism is stuff you don't want to hear, like you said, it's still better than nothing.
I mean, honest criticism on Swords and Wizardry Continua Light. The layout was adequate. That was honest. I'm not a layout person, folks, so it served its purpose. I was actually quite pleased with it, but again, I'm not a layout person. Any real layout person would go, all right.
So, look, I still think Word looks fine. So yeah, I'm exactly the same. Layout's just beyond me. So
yeah,
Word. Okay, Word looks great. Oh, Word, that's Word. Yeah, Word. I don't care. But yes, we're probably both not very good layout people there.
Dandelion Games, tenacity is super important. Publishing a game is more like getting married than going on a date.
Good, that's actually a really good description. You're absolutely correct. Yeah, don't dabble. If you're going to do something, be committed to it. Be marriage committed to it, definitely.
And that is a very good point. And you know what? To include in it, it's going to include twists and turns and unexpected expenses. And you know, again, unless you're committed to it, it's going to probably end badly.
Oh, I'll tell you something. I was gonna say too. One of the great points about networking is when you're network. So unless you're a double threat like Lloyd Metcalf, who both writes and draws, you're going to need to find other people to help you. Which we're talking about editing right now, but also artists. You're going to need to connect to these guys and find these guys that are going to want to be able to do stuff for you that's within your price range or does the style you want. That's one of the best things to do is go to these cons or go to these, or join these forums or these. I'm sorry, not forums. I keep saying forums. I'm old, man.
Forums are dying, but blogs
Yes.
are dying too. But we'll get to that.
But join these groups where you can network and say, hey, I need some artwork done. Who is a good, trustworthy guy that I can count on for 24 pieces of art, and they don't charge an arm and a leg? And that is one of the best things to do, is because look, art is going to sell your product sometimes,
right?
And that's just the truth of the matter. I can look at a product and I can spot indifferent or not very good art a mile away, where I can tell that they shall not be named here. But there was once a group of publishers who published some stuff and they decided to cheap out on the art. And it was very obvious they cheaped out on the art. And these were veterans. These were gaming veterans. You know what I'm talking about now, right?
Oh, yeah, Treebeard.
Yeah.
That's as close as I'll get to naming anything.
Yes. And they really cheaped out in the art because they were not willing. I talked to an artist they approached about rates, and it was some of the most embarrassing rates I'd ever that anybody would ever work for. And so their artwork helped not sell their product because memorable artwork, better artwork will sell your product better than better writing will sell your product, because the first thing they're going to see is the cover or when they flip through at the art in there. They're not going to read it till later.
Dune Bunny, it would help to know what reasonable rates are for black and white OSR style of work. You know what? I'll be honest with you, it's going to depend on the artist. But here,
the artist will tell you. If you talk to 4 or 5 artists, you'll get a good feel for that.
But here, again, some of them do amazing stock art. Now, here's the thing with stock art. You're going to find some stock art that you're going to go, oh my God, that's amazing. And you know what? It might be amazing because you probably saw it somewhere else. There's a stock art piece of a dire rat, and I've seen it as a cover of like 2 different products. I love the artwork. I think it's awesome. However, it's been used. Now, when I did Swords and Wizardry Continual Light, I needed a piece of art that really struck out. And I saw a black and white piece of stock art that I owned by James Shields. And I was like, hey, James, I really like this. But I go, I'm trying to do a color version. He goes, well, you back the Patreon, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, you have access to it.
James does some of the best stock art in the business.
Definitely. And it was a full cover piece of artwork. Same thing as the black and white, but it was slightly laid out a little bit differently. And it was rejected art that he had done for another project. Couldn't believe that they rejected it. I couldn't believe they rejected it. I was like, oh my God, I own this. Great. On the rights to it. It's the cover for Swords of Wizardry Continual Light. Now, theoretically, anybody else can grab it and use it. I run that risk. But my niece was like 6 at the time. When I showed it to her, she grabbed the book out of my hand and holds it up like a proud auntie. This art sells. This cover sells. And she's right. That cover is a huge selling point for it. And I think that's something that, you have to remember. Now, there's also free stock art to be found. And
Frog Gut has free stock art. Well, actually, we have stock art. You buy packages of it, and so. But yeah, James. I know James Shields does. Like I said, I think he does the best stock art in the business. There's a lot out there. Once you start looking at stock art, I was looking for some stock art when Tom Wilson and I did our the next one. Forgot stock art because Frog God really does have some good stuff in the archives there. But man, there's actually a lot out there, and there's some really good stuff out there too. That is a good idea. I didn't think about that, but yeah, stock art is a great way to go if you're working on a budget. Although we get a Tom and I get a lot of compliments on the cover art we use for B2.5 and X1.5. And and the reason we did that was I paid to have good art put on there because I know that covers sell, and I knew the cover was going to sell, and so Ray, oh god, I can't remember the name. Ray, John, not Ray, John Ray, no, Ray, I can't. Oh god, I'm gonna kill myself here. Let me find the artist.
Please,
great artist there.
Not on camera.
And so I knew that he would put out some good stuff because this stuff is very old school, and we have gotten so many compliments, especially on the B2.5 on the cover art for that, and it is definitely sold copies of that.
I mean, folks, I have a lot of art that I've actually commissioned and purchased, not for my RPG products, but for TenkarsTavern.com. And this is art that I own the rights to. In some cases, I own the original too. The art that you see behind me was by Craig Brasco, and he did that of our old gaming group. He did that for me, and Craig is an amazing artist. If you go to his website, he actually details his prices. Not going to say send him business, but send him business. He's another great artist that has a great flair for both black and white and color. But I'm gonna give out a secret, which I'm sure somebody can tell me you shouldn't have given that out, but apparently other people know about it, so it's not a huge secret. Pixabay.com. Pixabay.com, folks. If you are a publisher, you better bookmark that because it's free art. You don't even need to use attribution. Some of the stuff blows away some of the art that I've seen on. Listen, I'm gonna mention a shock jock in the industry right now, Wenger Santanis, and myself and Wenger butt heads constantly. That being said, I will give credit where credit is due. He has some amazing cover art on his releases, and guess what? He gets that cover art, the license, for free. Generally speaking, he finds art on people's portfolios on. What is that artist place where everybody puts their stuff up? I can't remember it now. I'm sure everybody else knows about it.
Well, we are really you could tell we do not prepare for this. We're hex crawling in the wilderness now.
Right,
we're absolutely in the wilderness hex crawling.
Where artists like to showcase their work, and he'll say, "Hey, that's a great piece of work. I'd love to use it for a cover, but I can't afford to pay. But what it would cost to use, single use. I'm not asking for all the rights." And he gets success often enough that he has artwork that you'd go, my God, that looks like a classic Conan cover type of artwork. I mean, that kind of quality.
DeviantArt, is it DeviantArt?
DeviantArt, thank you.
Yeah, that's
DeviantArt,
it. Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
And he just listen. Might he approach 20 artists before one says yes? It's quite possible, but if you don't know unless you've asked, and yes, thank you, John Miller. And Bob. So that is certainly the way to go. But like I said, if you just want art that's basically free to use stock art, Pixabay.com, and you can. I am totally impressed with some of the stuff that is available there. I'm going to actually I'll do something that I don't normally do. I'll put a link in the chat. So for those that are actually watching live, you have a link in the chat that you can look at. It's just an amazing resource. I'm going to be using that for some content on the blog because I like to have the rights to the art that I use. A lot of times I use stock art, but this is going to be another way. Now, of course, from dog barking, now
there's the cat. Yeah, you got every animal. You got an emu back there. We're going to hear honking in a little bit, or you got some chickens. We're going to hear clucking around eventually.
No, and it's true. That cry usually means that Sadie has her toy and she's pretending that she caught a mouse. So she's like, "Come praise me for catching my toy." Yes, Kat, we're really thrilled that you caught your toy. Same with the Wenger picks up women. They keep asking till one says yet. I don't know. Listen, the man is married. He has kids. I don't know about his personal life. God bless him. It is a funny joke, though. I will say that. So 2 thumbs up.
Yes.
For the joke.
Wenger
Mustard
would
is
laugh.
not
Wenger
art.
would laugh
Can
at
you
that if
use
he still spoke to Eric, but he didn't. Does he speak? He doesn't speak to you anymore, does he?
No,
Wenger.
not really. He
Yeah.
only every 6 months or so he likes to do the Tenkar post
Woe is
on his
me.
blog.
Yeah.
Well, no, Tenkar is a Karen, or Tenkar is offended. Why the fuck is he offended? And listen, he pokes the bear. I understand. He's he's not a quality shock jock like James Raggy, who doesn't need to poke bears. James is James. So Wenger has to poke the bear. I understand that. I also
Hmm.
understand that when you poke the bear, the smart bear just goes, it's a mosquito. I walk away. I ignore it. So that being said, Wenger is a lot like James Ragg anyway. The earlier work was spot on and really should be acquired. Purchase James's earlier releases from Lamentations, amazing stuff. Wenger's earlier OSR stuff before he started doing the O5R bullshit, really good stuff, real quality. I can't say again. I will praise work of people that I think is good, and I think that Wenger's earlier stuff is really spot on and less jockey. So there we go. Yeah, I can't say that the maybe I'm getting high on the fumes of the hops, but this is hop tea, so there's 0% alcohol in this.
Oh dear. I'm losing my voice, and I don't know why. I don't think I shouted that much tonight, but
No,
as
it
you
could
can
be the
tell, my
allergies.
voice is going away. Yeah, all that I've been taking allergy medicine all day. You're right. I haven't, but yeah, I'm losing my voice here, man. This is not bode well for me. I love to hear myself talk. This is going to be terrible to lose it.
Don't lose it, Mike. We couldn't. I wouldn't know what to do if we lost. Now, folks, Mike gets his second shot
Uh,
next week.
well,
If Mike
if I lose my voice, we'll just have Glenn fill in for me. And
because nobody will know the difference between you and Glenn.
well,
Glenn actually,
he's like me. He likes to talk a lot. So there you go.
listen. I just talk a lot. I do this stuff on a daily basis, and people go, "Well, why did you stop? Why did you stop blog posting 4 times a day?" It's like because I'm casting once a day, and then I blog post once. It's enough. It's enough. So, but maybe we'll grab Laramie for next week if Laramie isn't doing more important things
And
like
then you can
working.
tell me when I'm yeah, I can tell my symptoms as I start going down the toilet.
And then you might say, well, Mike, what you really need is we're gonna have to do that Chinese anal exam to see if you have
Oh,
COVID.
actually, my first shot. I just had a couple days of nausea, slight headache. I came through pretty well, so I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope. Oh, by the way, I saw a news story tonight that they are well on their way to developing a pill that you're going to take for vaccine. And apparently it has. They say it should have less side effects. So I'm excited for people who don't like needles. I don't mind needles.
No.
But yeah, that would be great because if we have to do this every couple years, I'm not digging this. Having to have side effect, do 2 shots and side effects. I do not dig that. Yeah, I can do it one time. I understand, but man, I don't want to do this every couple years. That sucks.
Epi, never enough Tenkar. You know what? I want a shirt that says
I don't know about that.
too much Tenkar on
Epi,
the one
no,
side and then never enough Tenkar on the other.
Epi, come on,
All right, all
man.
right. I might
Enough,
get
enough
I might
sucking up.
I might
You're
get
not
it for
getting
the
anything.
con. I might get it for the con.
You're
Yeah,
not
it's
getting
like,
anything for sucking up to Tenkar.
no, we have nothing to give away.
No, nothing.
There's no prize closet. Well,
We actually do have a
here.
prize closet. We don't have
Actually, here's the deal.
prizes.
We have 365 subscribers to the YouTube channel, which is huge, and I really do thank everybody.
That is great. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. That's great. We started at like 150 and over a year ago.
Not even a year ago.
No,
we didn't start putting the effort in until
it was like
until
October.
September.
No, it was August. It was the end of December. In December, we started.
In December, we started doing this.
Yeah.
So, folks, here I'm gonna say it online. We will do a giveaway. When we hit 500. Now, that's not too far, right? That's 135 people.
Yep.
I will. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to have to figure out a legitimate way to do this. But I will give away to one of our listeners on the live stream a $500 gift certificate to Drive-Thru RPG.
Oh, see, I'm sitting. You're talking about this. I'm sitting there going, "Oh yeah, I'll give away like Judges Guild magazine."
No,
or something.
I'll give away.
You were talking about like $500. Whoa.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no,
and,
but no, it's
Judges
Drive-Thru
Guild
RPG credit, which really means, as I said before, it's the community's money going back to the community. So if you get us to 500, the first live stream that Mike can do after hitting 500, we will do a giveaway. So that means, yes, you'll have to be logged in, and we'll want you to be a subscriber, and we'll have to have a good guess, because I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time just writing down each name as folks comment, and extra comments aren't going to mean shit. So, and then we'll just say, all right. So now we have X number of names and one. I'll let you all decide whether we give away.
That's an actual prize that's worth worth it.
Now we'll have the listeners that they decide whether they want two 250 prizes or one 500. I'm happy with either one. But like I said, it's your money anyway. This is money that's raised through Drive-Thru. The only purpose of that money is to give it back to the community and create projects that are going to be given back to the community. So if we get more listeners, if we get more subscribers, the podcast gets better because we get more interaction with the listeners. It's a win-win for everybody. So,
and I'm sure.
So there you go.
I've got I got a prize closet over here somewhere too that I can pull some stuff out for.
Yeah,
we'll have a great. That'll be a great show. We'll give away a bunch of. Probably have some leftover backpacks from the convention and some other goodies. So
yeah, I didn't want to I've been thinking about that for a while. But
that blew me. That's a credible announcement. That blew me away.
Well, Mike did not see that one coming. So
no, I did not at all. I'm shocked. I'm telling my brother he better get on there and
under 4. Rach doesn't know it either, so but like I said, she knows the Drive-Thru money is literally the money that I get to play with like this. I mean, and it's going to be fun. I'm sure we'll make it a great episode. Who knows who we'll call in as a guest for that one? So somebody who will be a lot of fun to play with. Like, hey, we're giving away stuff.
Oh, that sounds like a James Spawn show. Because
yeah. We'll have to make sure he doesn't go topless, because then, we don't want pictures about that.
We could have him and my brother on, and one could go topless, one could go Speedo.
Yeah, Robert.
Then would be the end of our show.
I call that underwear.
That'd be the end of our show forever. We would be shut down, and that would be it. So our first show with 500 would be our last.
Cal, yes, 2 for 250. Like you said, we'll put that up to an informal vote that day, and decide how we're going to do it. But again, I am happy to do this. It is
okay. I'm excited now.
So now the challenge to the listeners, whether you're on the podcast side or whether you're on the YouTube side, is to get more people to subscribe.
Hit the like button. Hit the like
button. Hit subscribe and get your friends to subscribe.
Get your friends to listen. Tell them two old fat guys like to talk about D&D.
On the day that we're giving away the money, tell your friends not to listen so you increase your odds, right?
Exactly. Give them a wrong day. Say, that 1 week they're going to do the show on Tuesday night. And then, that'd be perfect.
Bob's like, spread the wealth. Do 5 at 100. So you know what? We'll either do either do 1 500, 2 250s, or a 250, a 150, and a 100. Okay,
nice.
So that might be the way to spread the wealth. We might do the 3-tier. The 3-tier is always nice. So, and we'll have that third party be the one that's like, all right, dude. Well, we got to do a random number from 1 to 62.
That was always that's always works out so well.
Give me a number from Epi. Do 500. No. Fuck you, Epi. I love you, man. But no, I'm not doing 500 $1 gift certificates. You can all go fuck yourself.
That'd be great. That would be great. No, we're not doing that, though. Oh, let me throw a couple things in here, but we're coming up towards the end here. Let me throw. First of all, Greg Gillespie ended his very successful campaign with over 85,000 Canadian, which I think is about 70,000 American. That's by far almost double his best showing. And congratulations, Greg. I'm really looking forward to Dwaro Deep, and And as you know, you owe all your success to being on our show. So just to let you know, be appreciative of that.
Yes.
The phylactery, we had Levi on a couple weeks ago, and his Kickstarter phylactery ended, and I wanted to see what it did. I think it did pretty darn good, if I remember correctly. I was looking at the final numbers. Phylactery 3 is what I'm looking for, kids. There's 1. Where's 2, 3?
Oh God. Dandelion Games, get your D&D trivia game out and work it into the giveaway, Eric. Oh my God.
I hate that game because it's all
I
about.
love that.
It's only about the second edition books.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'd want a trivia game about first edition, to tell you the truth, because my knowledge of first edition.
Levi ended up with $11,300. That's pretty good. That is really good for this fanzine. There.
We are worth money, folks. We are worth money. So,
that's money in the bank. I would say at least 11,000, probably 8,000 is due to you and I. Probably about 8,000, right? I'd say about 8,000. That's
you know, listen. Most live streams, you know, they're there to shake you out of money, right? Come on, we're not. We're here to give away.
Yes.
Certificates to drive there, so you can buy shit that you like. Mm-hmm. So I think that's important. Sell spots, guys. No, we're not going to sell anything. We're not going to. We don't.
Although we can be sponsors, which is this sponsor show. We absolutely can be bought in that respect. Just let Eric know, and we will pimp the hell out of you. Hell, we'll have you on the show.
Actually, when we hit 500, if we want to do sponsor, if we have a sponsor too that want to give away product, they can sponsor the show just to give away product. We're not looking to get paid.
I like this 500 show already. We aren't even around yet. That sounds like it's going to be great.
Now, folks, I am not saying that we're going to give away 1,000 at 1,000, because that might get spouse aggro in my direction as to are you a fucking idiot? But I would certainly say we'll at least match the numbers that we'll be looking at 500. I'll say that.
Nice. Well, that is exciting. Some exciting brand new news there.
That is hidden news. I was gonna announce it closer to 500, but I think we've got some momentum going on. I really do, and we've gotten great stats now for number of listens and the hours listened. Our numbers have doubled and tripled over the last 28 days. So it's been really good. And I'd love to hit 500 before North Texas. So we've had a lot of people at our North Texas alcohol tasting event.
Oh yeah, we got to get Chris Stodgel online with that. Chris, we need some crappy, cheap booze. Actually, it doesn't have to be crappy. It can be anything.
Right.
So yeah, that's definitely going to make a triumphant comeback in 2021.
David, good night. Well, David will be slugging at ourselves, but yes, David, thank you for joining us, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow night at the Tavern Chat Hangout.
I will try to hit Tavern Chat. I have missed the last few because I keep forgetting that. I mean, because I'm so focused on our show, I forget that there's something on Thursday too. So. Yes,
we've been having some really good turnouts. And,
I know that's what I've heard. The
elephant in the room is the turnouts have gotten better since this whole election drama and post-election drama has sorted out.
Yeah.
And now people are like, "Oh, good! I can actually hang out with people and talk shit and not have to worry about some dumb fuck going." Did you hear about? No, I don't want to fucking hear about that shit. I want to talk Star Wars, Star Trek,
let's
expanded universe.
Let's keep the politics out of here. Oh God,
I want to talk about Kickstarters.
I don't want politics in my hobbies. Please, no.
Picking Grinning. Yes, it's on Discord. It's on the Tenkar's Tavern Discord server. You know what? If I had half a brain, I would probably share the Tenkar's Tavern link.
That'd be a great idea.
I have to invite people, and then copy. This invite's good for 7 days. All right, that's good. Because I'm going to put the invite. Join the server. Listen, I will say this: when it comes to the Tenkar's Tavern Discord server, we have a really strong group of bartenders. They are our moderators. They do a great job moderating. They have kept the trolls and bots out, and we have a very good conversation that goes on. So, as I said earlier, Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, we hang out until generally about 11 o'clock. Sometimes I have to bow out because Rach has to go to work in the morning. But if I do bow out, here's the other secret. When I bow out, I just go silent, and I silently. I don't announce that I'm leaving because then everybody goes, "Oh fuck, it's late. I better go too." The conversation's going well. I want it to keep on going. And it's also going to be Tuesday mornings. I was going to do it initially once a month, but apparently there's enough interest that we're going to do Tuesday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern, pretty much on a weekly basis. As long as I'm not like,
well, let me know because I will show. I'll show up for that. Hey, I'm just at work. I have nothing else to do. Tuesday morning, 9 a.m.
Again, 9 p.m. Eastern here. I'm going to put 9 p.m. Eastern Thursday.
Remind me.
And here's the thing, Pete. You never know who's going to show up, but we often have Rob Conley, Bat in the Attic Games. Rob is a great font of knowledge for somebody who wants to do self-publishing. We have Courtney Campbell is another regular.
Speaking of Courtney, he had an extremely successful Kickstarter wrap up too.
I mean, we have a lot of people that you can ask questions of, and it's really a great way. Again, I know regulars that have gotten to work with publishing companies, not necessarily Wizards of the Coast, because Wizards of the Coast doesn't generally hang out in Tenkar's Tavern, but with some of the third-party publishers out there, this is a way to meet other publishers or meet people that know other publishers. You make connections by talking, by communicating, by being seen, and this is just one of those informal ways. We've been doing this for years. Before Discord, we did it as a chat, text chat on the Tenkar's Tavern blog, which is how I got in trouble with bad jokes that somebody screenshotted. When I say bad jokes, I mean I personally think one of them was hilariously funny, but bad jokes and that it was misremembered, even despite the screenshot, as me calling somebody a C word.
The Gale joke was funny. Come on, man.
Yes. I actually joked that Gail Gygax would trademark the C word if she could make money off it. But it got relayed to Gail that I told her the C word. No. And I never called her the C word.
She just said she would trademark it, not that she.
Right. And then I said that she would probably sell rubber bricks for the memorial, and that people should burn them, which then became Tenkar threatened to throw rubber bricks that are burning at Gail.
Well, at least after all that, the memorial finally got built, and
no, it didn't. Now, by the way, folks, just as a side note before we tap out, I am still waiting for tax return from 2019 for the Gygax Memorial Fund to see what data there is now. Just so you know, there's no longer a website for the Memorial Fund, and there is a Facebook page that no longer gets updated. So, but this is where nearly over $200,000 of the public money got donated to. So, yes, I will stir that hornet's nest up at some point because it has to be done. Yes, I am that asshole.
All right. Well, that's we had quite a wide-ranging show tonight, and
it's why we call it the Hex Crawl with the sandbox. And
who knows where? We don't even know where we're going to go next week. We have no clue where we're going to go next week.
So if we bring Laramie, I can guarantee you we'll be offensive. So if you want to be offended, this is the cast to go to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
But with Laramie, you'll probably see the second best hair in the OSR. So
what he has of it, yes.
Right, because at least he'll be standing up straight most times. So you can see it. Like my hair. Listen, before I got heavily involved in this aspect of gaming, my hair was brown. Now it's like
Oh dear.
a grayish. At least I have hair still, but I have to keep it short because if I don't keep it short, the gray gets grayer and grayer.
Oh, me too.
So yeah, and my beard comes in gray now too. It's getting really. I might have to just shave it all off, folks. Thank you. I can't thank all our listeners again. The live listeners, the feedback. As I'm losing my voice.
Me too. Both of us. Oh, it's catching.
It's catching.
I'm gonna have to gargle. I'm gonna gargle when I get home. This is bad. I don't like the sound of this.
Yeah, folks. Again, the live listeners make this cast what it is. We really do appreciate it. Can't thank you enough. I think we hit 22 or 23 for the high. We're at 17 now after over 2 hours. You fucks, man. I can't believe this shit. If you're listening on the podcast side, can't stress it enough. We do live streams on Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, Friday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern with either Joe the Lawyer or Glenn Hallstrom. And Saturday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern is Rach, my wife, and myself. Those podcasts or vidcasts, we talk about gamers' health. So, and we listen. I got teary-eyed in the last one. I will admit that because I started talking about 2020. So 2020 sucked in a way, but it was good in a way too. Because look, I look so much healthier and younger. Yeah. Maybe.
Oh, you're one sexy beast, man.
Well,
right
just
now.
Tell our wives that you said that. Come on. But folks, again, thank you. Neither Mike nor I are medical professionals. We did talk about our COVID vaccine experience. And Mike will give you an update next week when he has his second shot. But use your common sense. Make common sense decisions to keep yourself, your loved ones, your family, your friends, your community healthy and safe. You can't help others if you yourself are not healthy. So actually, your health comes before all else, if you think about it. On that note, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice. Go to North Texas RPG Con in June. Mm-hmm. Let's really fuck things up and have them go, oh my God, we got to shut down registration. Too many people. That's what I want to see.
That would be magical.
I want to see too many. I want to see that. And I want to see a huge turnout at Game Hole. It's going to be 4 or 5 shots before your second shot, Mike. Bob wants you drinking. Listen, I'm not saying that that's wise. But I'm not saying that Mike won't have like 1 or 2.
I might have 4 or 5 ibuprofen. I don't think I'm going to have these shots. Now, that night I might do some booze. I did some booze after my first shot. It worked out okay. I may do some booze after my second shot too, so we'll see.
My low carb Fireball faux whiskey made with Tullamore Dew was a hit on Easter.
Oh, okay.
I gave my mother a shot over ice. And she tried it, and her response was, and I quote, "Oh my God, this is smooth."
Well, great.
Can you top it off?
You may have found your newest profession in retirement.
Yeah,
booze. You may have to make your own booze.
I didn't make the whiskey, but I did a high quality whiskey, and I used 8 cinnamon sticks and about 30 drops of Splenda. Well, not Splenda, Stevia. And let it age for 3 or 4 days in the fridge. Well done. It's gone now, so I need to get more tomorrow. I think I got to go down to the liquor store and buy more booze. Always a good thing, right? All right, folks. On that note, after talking about booze, we're going to bow out. Thank you.
Later, everybody. Thank you.